Nate, another regular feature we're going to be doing is called Friends and Foes. We're going to pick one partner or teammate from your past every week and one opponent. I'm actually throwing a curveball. We were going to do Dusty today, but we decided to save that for later because that's obviously a big discussion. The guy I want to talk about today as one of your opponents is Ronnie Garvin. And you had that memorable title switch with him.
Yeah.
And I've met Ronnie. I interviewed him at one of Conrad Thompson's get-togethers, that StarCast. And boy, I got to tell you, watching those matches then, and you and I had just met then, and we were, just friends then.
Yes.
I thought you two were going to kill each other.
Yeah.
I have never seen any matches more physical. I have never seen, never mind, your forehead with blading and getting color, your bodies, your arms, your chest. It was scarred. It was beaten red. It was unbelievable, wasn't it?
For the year and a half that I wrestled him, I took a tube of Neosporin every day in the morning and a tube after I showered at night and covered my chest. He beat the skin off me.
Well, he was such a credible performer, Nate.
Hey, there was no two chop rule like there is with Taker. And Bret Hart, the no chop rule for Bret.
Well, let me ask you a question about Ronnie because, and this is no knock on him because this has happened before with guys. But why, when he became world champion, didn't it take? It seemed like the fans really got behind him as a challenger, but not as much as a champion.
It took in the Southeast. It took in our territory. We sold out everything. It's when we went to Chicago and Detroit and that they didn't. It just he as legitimate as he was. I think they wanted somebody more colorful. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And he just plain as what he was. He was a tough guy. It's like I can remember. You'll love this. Not talking about someone that's not here to respond, but Big Bubba, Ray Traylor, right? When he was Big Bubba with us, he was Cornette's bodyguard. So we were in Richmond one night, and Garvin had just beat the living crap out of Big Bubba, right? 320 pounds, and Bubba said, "Ray, what am I going to do to?" He had that voice. Garvin's killing me. God damn it, hit him back. You're twice his size. He beat the shit out of me, Rick.
Well, I think you're right.
Welcome to my world, Ray. You beat the shit out of me every day.
Well, I think you're right about the geography having something to do with Ronnie not taking as the world champion. And honestly, I thought the company back then picked the wrong cities and wrong venues for you two to wrestle in. As I recall, I forget which match, but
Detroit.
One of them, Detroit, that's right. He never had a chance to be a babyface in Detroit, not even for a little bit. And I thought, having interviewed him, he says it didn't bother him, but I think it bothered him a little bit.
I don't know. I mean, I just, he and I were never really close friends. We just I had a ton of fun working with him, and he fit in. I just, I flew with him a couple of times. And Ronnie's one of those guys that in the old days, we followed the telephone poles or the dots on the road because he sure as hell couldn't navigate any better than me, and I can't navigate anything. I can't even turn my GPS on in my car, for the Christ's sake. But he would fly at 2,000 feet, and we just followed the telephone poles.
Now, Ronnie, and where I felt bad a little bit too was after his run as world champion, where he dropped it back to you. Like he never quite got to that level again, did he?
No, I don't think so. No.
Because
that's
like,
the problem. After you have that belt, you don't have it, or you have it. It's where do you go from there? Does that make sense? That's why everybody bitches about Ashley getting title shots and getting all that. Well, if you don't want to be the champion, if you're just going to sit there and get a check, if being the champion signifies that you're the best, or, that's what you hope it is. It is in every other sport. They're playing for the Super Bowl. They're boxing to be the world champion. If nobody cares about 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7, you want to be in that top 2 or 3 every day. And when you're not, you're going to work harder to get back into it.
One thing I will say, though, by comparison to Ronnie's run, when Sting beat you for the world title, in Baltimore at the Bash. And that's one of the biggest pops I've ever heard in my life to this day when Sting won it. But it didn't quite take on him the first time either. And yet he rebounded after dropping it back to you and became a much bigger star after that. So it's not like not being accepted as world champion is a death sentence either.
No, it's not. First of all, especially in the old days, there was so much responsibility with being a world champion. Now it's WrestleMania, the event itself. Yes, there are great performers. Yes, there are great matches. Just using this hypothetically. But when I was a world champion, everybody was looking at me. Believe me, if the arena wasn't full, they were looking at one guy, or they were looking at three guys, or the Horsemen, or whatever, right? And of course, all the Horsemen get all this and that. Well, problem is we sold out everything. So there was that communication was cut off. Didn't mean it wasn't going on, but when you're sold out, you can't do any more than that. But being a world champion, especially when I was younger, man, you go into those territories and those kids there were looking for a big payday. The arena they wanted to be packed. That's why my first time around with the championship belt, I didn't mean shit. Did I think I knew how to work? Yeah, I thought I did because I was working with Wahoo and Mulligan and Paul Jones and Steamboat. Now I'm wrestling guys I've never wrestled again before for an hour. The second time, I had it right, and I was prepared to go. But my first time around, I failed miserably. So it's a live and learn experience. But it's back in the day, it wasn't the event that drew the crowd, it was the performer. Now the event and the performers, it's a joint effort. That wasn't a luxury back in the old days.